Hello and welcome to everybody to this workshop today on the other side of discomfort. My name is Katrina Horn. I'm a life coach and what I like to call a dream designer because I help people design their life in a manner so that they will get to their dreams. So if you're here for the first time, welcome, welcome. If you're here and this is your 10th time, you're just as welcome. I want to talk today about discomfort because the benefits, the huge return on being willing to feel discomfort is that everything you want is on the other side. So think about it. If you want to be only comfortable, well, then you can't really have change because change will always be uncomfortable. Our brain was designed to keep us alive, and it has so far, hasn't it? Because you're here and you're listening to me. So it has been working so far. So your brain doesn't really want any change to happen because it thinks if something changes, then I don't know whether I'll be able to keep her alive. Right? So our brain does everything to tell us not to change, so any change will be uncomfortable. That is what I'm going to talk about today. I'm not talking about discomfort as in living in unacceptable conditions or putting up with anything unacceptable. The discomfort I'm going to talk about today is all about emotional discomfort. Right? And let me just dive straight in. You are welcome to ask questions if you like via the chat. Hello, I think I just saw a lovely message from Texas. Hello, Wendy. Okay. Wow. You had to save your phone in the pool. Amazing. Amazing. Welcome. So on the other side of discomfort, you're in the right place if you feel stuck and you've got a tendency to procrastinate, or if you don't understand why your life is not taking off. You know, you're sitting here, you're thinking, oh, I'm doing all the right things, but it's just sort of not happening. Also, if your dreams don't seem to come to fruition, you are in the right place. If you feel bored, and a new word I learned recently was underwhelmed. To be underwhelmed, I associate that with feeling bored and being like in a routine with life. So you get up in the morning and you just don't think anything new is going to happen and you're a little bit bored with all that. You're looking for excitement. You want to feel the joy of living. You want to be having what I could call a more interesting life. So that's what I associate with feeling underwhelmed. Or if you feel that life is behind you. Like I just made a post today about what if the best is yet to come, because that's how I like to see life. I like to imagine that so far my life has been fabulous, but I'm just expecting it to get better and better all the time. What if the best is yet to come? Also, if your life lacks direction, right? Sometimes we go through the motions, but we don't really know why we are doing it. So if that's you, please hold on tight. We're going to dive in. So this is what we're going to cover. I'm going to talk to you about why feeling discomfort is a good thing, although you think you might not enjoy it. We're going to talk about how you can identify the feeling you're trying to avoid, and that is holding you back from everything you want. So of course, it's rarely just one feeling. There could be several feelings, right? And you're going to learn this process that I like to use so that you can get to precisely define that feeling and to feel it. So I'm going to take you through a coaching exercise where we go into discomfort so that you can process it. And this process is really super simple. You can learn it in 3 minutes. And then, as I like to say, you can practice it for the rest of your life, right? Because we are never finished products. We are always growing, we're always expanding, we're always changing. So we're always going to be uncomfortable at some point. And it's so good to know that right on the other side of feeling uncomfortable is what it is we desire. It's where everything is that we want. So let's just move on, dive in. First of all, I want to talk about our emotional guidance system and why feeling discomfort is potentially a good thing. And I hope you'll understand this at the end. So just think of a time when you apprehended a situation that turned out much better than you expected. It could be something like feeling butterflies in your stomach also, in expectation of something major happening. But just think about any time where you were apprehending something and it actually turned out fabulous. That is really what is happening with this discomfort. You're feeling the discomfort. You didn't really want to do it, but then you did it and it all turned out beautifully. Think about dating, right? Maybe you went out on a date with your husband and you're feeling apprehensive about it. You're thinking, oh, this is perhaps not the person for me. Oh, I think he's a bit loud, or you had a lot of preconceived ideas and you weren't feeling great about it. But then you did it and it turned into a 20-year-long marriage with 3 kids and what have you, right? So it's this being in one state, feeling the discomfort, and then moving into a different state. So that's why the discomfort is potentially good. Also, I'd like for us all to be grateful for our guidance system that we've got in our emotions. Our emotions are there to guide us. Imagine if we didn't have any. Like, if we didn't have any emotions, we wouldn't know what we wanted. We wouldn't know whom we liked, what we liked, right? I mean, that would be very strange, wouldn't it? So our feelings or emotions, and I use both words to mean the same in this context. So when I say feelings or I say emotions, I mean the same thing. We have those come up to guide us, really, to give us precious information. Only if we are afraid of that information, if we're afraid to feel the feeling, first of all, we won't access the emotion, we won't get the information, and it takes energy to block that emotion off. So instead of having that emotion run through us, inside and out, that's what we call processing emotions, just having it wash through you. You keep storing it up. You keep storing it up, avoiding it, storing it up, avoiding it. And that can lead to a lot of illness, not just mental illness, but really physical illness. So if you want to dive deeper into emotions, to know what emotions really are, like chemical reactions in our bodies, I'm saying that just to provoke you a little bit, because some of us get very attached to our emotions and we think that they mean something. So we make up stories. Whereas if we can just bring it back to the thought that our emotions are chemical reactions in our body. That's what Lisa Feldman Barrett explains very powerfully in her How Emotions Are Made. It's a book and it's an audio book if you want to listen to it. I haven't read it for a few years, and I remember it's a little bit long, a little bit heavy, because she goes into a lot of molecules and what have you. So, but it's understandable and you can get a lot out of it. And that reminds me to tell you that I talk about emotions and thoughts. And for what we're going to do today, let's say that we're going to have a look at a circumstance in life, an event, a person that you have thoughts about. So you might be thinking, oh, he's a nasty man, right? And that will generate an emotion, that will generate a chemical reaction in your body, and that will be what you call your feeling, right? That will then influence your behavior. So for today, we're going to look at the thought and then the emotion, but some people find it easier to identify the thought and not so much the emotion. And other people find it easier to identify the emotion and not so easy to identify the thought. So today we're going to grab onto whatever is available to us, right? But I will always talk about the thought generating the emotion. Scientifically speaking, I'm not sure it's that clear cut, right? But for what we're going to do today, this will do. So just to motivate you a little bit and to make you think, I wanted to give you a little bit of statistics here. People who are able to identify their negative emotions are 30% more flexible when regulating their emotions, right? They're less likely to burst out in anger when hurt. They act appropriately in social situations, and they handle fear and anxiety more easily. So that's what Lisa Feldman-Barrett talks about when we are able to identify our feelings and not just what I call umbrella feelings. When we introduce granularity, that is really when we can use those feelings as that precious information I was talking about just earlier. So let's have a look at emotions and their potential information. I'm going to talk about umbrella feelings. Let's have the umbrella feeling of happiness. So you could be identifying the feeling of happiness. I'm feeling happy, but you could introduce something a little bit more subtle by going into, well, what exactly is it I'm feeling? Is it pleasure, contentment, joy, amusement, pride, or excitement, ecstasy, elation? And these are all slightly different. And the more specific you can get, actually, the better you get at not controlling your emotions, but being able to process them and use them constructively. So I took happiness. I know lots of you want to feel happy, which is great. But just think about, well, maybe there's another more subtle emotion underneath the happiness that I want to feel. And what is it? What is it? So now let's go into what we traditionally call negative emotion. And I hope today you'll be willing to look at it differently, because I like to think about emotions that serve us, at emotions that don't serve us. The same with thoughts. There are thoughts that serve us, and there are thoughts that don't serve us. So let's dive in to some of that. The umbrella feeling of sadness could be unhappiness, feeling lonely, hopeless, miserable, despondent, heartbroken, dispirited. I love that one, dispirited. Melancholy, dejected, or you could be feeling grief. We all put that under the umbrella of sadness. But if you're feeling sad, maybe you want to just feel in and see whether it's not another feeling. And this is not an exam, right? So you don't actually need to be able to define all these emotions. But if you want to, why don't you spend like 2 minutes a day learning a new feeling word? Meaning, if you want to find out really what despondent means, you could just Google it or look it up in a dictionary and pull out a definition. A definition that, wow, you could actually learn from, and maybe you can recognize it in yourself then. And maybe that will inform so much more precisely what it is you're feeling. So you can learn a new one every day, right? Could be interesting. Imagine having breakfast and just learning a new emotion. Moving on, fear. The umbrella feeling of fear could just be nervousness. Could be scared, feeling scared, anxious, stressed. Could be feeling unease, panic, or just worry. When I say just worry, it's never just, but it's preferable, I think, to feel worried than panic. Doubt, despair. What about concern? Right? We're very quick to shove all this under the umbrella feeling of fear, and we just think, oh, I'm feeling afraid, I'm feeling afraid. Well, if actually you could start thinking about, well, actually I'm feeling concern, or something like that. So that's what we call granularity. It's becoming more specific on what it is we are actually feeling. Then there's anger, and that would be my last umbrella feeling, anger. You could be feeling frustrated, annoyed, bitter, mad, insulted, vengeful, outraged, resentful, indignant, or irritated. So please don't think you have to know the exact definitions of all these, but I am inviting you perhaps to learn a few more words about the feelings that you're feeling. I find that so empowering. So I'm not just shoving it under anger. Often when I've been feeling angry, once it's like the first rush of anger has gone through me, actually I find that I'm feeling indignant, like, because I used to be very caught up on justice. Like I thought, well, we have to bring justice in, right? Everything has to be just. So that took me a lot of brain space and energy. So of course we can all want justice, you know, but let's just be responsible for what we're responsible for, and then let's have other people be responsible for what they're responsible for. So coming back to this idea that our thoughts generate our feelings. Uninvestigated thought leaves us feeling scared, anxious, or overwhelmed, whereas processing the emotions we feel doesn't. But we believe that, oh, if I let go, if I really feel the anger, I would be uncontrollable, right? But actually, we cannot maintain an emotion more than for 1.5 minutes. 1 minute and 30 seconds is the absolute maximum time that we can keep feeling an emotion, knowing that an emotion is a chemical reaction in our body. We cannot maintain it beyond that time. So think about the emotions that we're trying to avoid. We would be much better served if we could just allow ourselves to feel that emotion and have it move through us, right? Instead of looking away all the time, not wanting to go there, right? Ignoring it. Oh no, I don't want to feel that. It feels uncomfortable, right? That's the discomfort I'm talking about. I'm just going to look at the chat. Yeah, injustice, Caroline, that was exactly the same for me. The injustice of some things. I just found that horrendous, really horrendous. But that's a different subject. So before we move into our exercise, what did I want to say about discomfort? Yeah, we can have discomfort. We can have a little bit of discomfort, like the little bit of discomfort, perhaps discomfort, am I saying it right now, is when, for instance, we want to lose weight, and instead of having a donut for breakfast, we choose to have a boiled egg. Right? That's a little bit of discomfort. For some of us, it's huge, but for some of us, it's a little bit of discomfort, right? Because it's a little change. We had the donut before, we like the donut and we want to eat the donut, and now we want to lose weight and we're thinking, oh, maybe I should have a boiled egg instead. And that can feel a little bit uncomfortable, right? So you get up in the morning, you want to bite into your donut, and all you've got is a boiled egg, right? Not very nice, potentially. Right? But if you're willing to feel that discomfort that will bring in the change, well, then change can happen. If you're not willing to feel that discomfort, you want to keep your donut, well, of course, unless you do some other changes in your life, well, you won't really lose weight. If everything stays the same, there won't be any change. It sounds obvious when I say it like that. In my life, I have been rather one for massive change. So massive change can feel really, really scary, but massive change can also have you, I don't want to say become somebody different, but you cannot be the same when everything around you has changed. And I've tried that a few times in my life. So I want to posit that any change is going to come out of feeling discomfort. So the greater the discomfort, the bigger potential for change. And the suffering only comes in from attempting to avoid the discomfort or attempting to avoid the change. We are always changing, we're always expanding, we're always growing. We can't stop that. That's always happening. And I wanted to give you a few examples let me give you the example of my dad, who passed away in the autumn. He had become very discomfort intolerant. So he never wanted to feel anything that was disagreeable. So that had him sit down in a wheelchair, being unable to walk because he really didn't enjoy walking at all. He didn't enjoy any kind of physical exercise. So his muscles just atrophied. Like, he ended up not being able to walk. He couldn't stand up. He couldn't walk. Right? He didn't want any responsibility in life. So I used to comfort myself saying that in the home where he was, there was nothing he needed to take care of. Like, people would come and feed him, dress him, everything. Like, it was the absence, the complete absence of any responsibility. And that is, of course, an extreme example. But if we refuse to be uncomfortable, well, then our world gets smaller and smaller, right? Because the world is both comfort and discomfort. If we want to exclude one half of it, well, then we can do fewer and fewer things. Another example is quite the opposite, because with my husband, we like to go biking, and we live in France. We've got a house in one end of France, and we've got another house in the other end of France, and we like to go on a bike and just travel either from one house to another or from somewhere else to somewhere else. And I remember somebody told me that I was actually, what would it be, fond of feeling the pain, the discomfort. And it's not so much that I'm fond of feeling the discomfort or the pain, it's that I'm so wanting what's on the other side. So what's that got to do with biking? Because once we took a train, we went to take a train, it was cancelled, so we got on a different train. So we arrived very late and we had to bike to our hotel. Only there was a storm going on, a thunderstorm, and it was pouring down. So the whole bike ride, we stopped in a place and somebody opened his garage for us to seek a little bit of shelter in, and then we biked on and everything. But it was getting to be really, really late. And we were biking through sometimes the rain, sometimes not the rain. It was getting dark and we were just biking along. And our hotel was at the top of a hill. And so we got in sight of the village where our hotel was, and it was like 9:45 in the evening. So my husband phoned up the hotel to say that we were arriving, and they said, oh, we're closing in 15 minutes, right? So there's no way we could get there in 15 minutes. It would take a bit longer. And so my husband just said, well, I'm coming, just please stay open. They say, yeah, well, they didn't promise it, right? So I just thought, okay, this could be hugely uncomfortable because we might have to sleep outside without having a tent, without having our sleeping bags. It might rain, so we have to find somewhere where we won't get too wet. You know, it's in the middle of the night. We won't get any dinner. I mean, potentially quite uncomfortable, right? So I didn't feel any worry around that. I just thought, oh, I have never tried that before. I was so confident that I was able to survive it. And of course I would have, but as it turned out, the hotel did stay open. So we were able to get our hotel room, get inside and be dry, but we didn't get our dinner. There was no dinner left in that village. So that was just a little bit uncomfortable. But really, somebody asked me, well, why were you willing to do that? Why all that discomfort cycling through the rain? And to me, it wasn't that I wanted to experience the discomfort. It was that I wanted to get to the place where I could go through the countryside on my bike. I could see wonderful sights. I could enjoy nature. I could have the evenings out, sleeping under the stars or in a hotel. I mean, all that freedom, that was all available to me. But the price to pay was some potential discomfort. Do you see what I mean? So if we're never willing to take the risk of being uncomfortable, well, then there are very few things we can do in life. So let's move into my exercise. Have you got a piece of paper ready? Because we're going to write some things down. If you're driving or cooking or something, maybe you want to come back to this later, right? There will be a replay. I think I remember to press record. So there will be a replay, and you can do this exercise in your own time somewhere else. So if you're here and you're available, you've got a pen and paper, please feel free to do it in real time, if I can say it like that. You need to be sitting down and feel comfortable. And then you need to pick a goal, something you want in life, one of your desires, like a dream. What would it be? So I've put in a few examples. Is it to find love, to lose weight, to apply for a new position? What is it? What would you really like to happen in your life? Anything you'd like, you can think of now? It could be something like feeling happier. It could be something really precise, like making this amount more money per year, whatever. Find something, then write it down. Now I'm going to ask you, what makes you feel good about this goal? Write down all the thoughts you've got that makes you feel, that make you feel good. So in my example of finding love, what would make you feel good? It could be, oh, I'll be able to shower all my love on somebody. I'll have somebody to share like the highlights of my life with. Whatever makes you feel good. About losing weight, you could be thinking, oh, I'd be able to get around much easier. I'll be fitter. I'll enjoy my body more. I'll be able to wear the clothes I've always wanted to wear. If it's applying for a new position, you could be thinking about, oh, I'll be something bigger in the company. I'll have more responsibility. I'll be paid more. I'll be doing new things. Anything like that. What makes you feel good about it? Right? And I did put in here that positive thoughts can be as limiting as negative thoughts. Maybe I'll explain that later. For the moment, it's not really that important. So let's move on to step number 3. What actions are you taking towards this goal? So if you want to find love, if you want to experience love, maybe you've enrolled in an online dating agency. Yeah, you can find love. I had a former colleague who went on one date with one guy, and she ended up marrying him, and they've been married for like 12 years now, I think. Perhaps even more. So, I mean, this does exist, right? So what actions are you taking if you want to lose weight? Maybe you are exercising 3 times a week. Kudos to you. If you want to apply for a new position, maybe you're reviewing your CV or resume in American English. In Britain, I think we still say CV. I'm not sure. But so what actions are you taking towards this goal? You can just write down one action or several actions. Just have a little brainstorm here. Let me have a look at the chat. Thank you, Caroline. Yeah, Caroline has been very helpful with my English. Yeah, good. So what actions are you taking towards this goal? Think about it. Moving on, are you ready? Number 4. Oh. What actions are you not taking towards this goal? And I just listed the same ones. If you want to find love, you're not enrolling in a dating agency, you're not meeting any new people, you're not out there meeting new people or connecting. If you want to lose weight, you're not exercising 3 times a week. In fact, you might not be exercising at all. And if you're looking to get a new position, well, maybe you're not reviewing your CV, you are not sending it out, you're not sending out cover letters, you're not talking to people, you're not doing anything. What actions are you not taking? Big or small? Big or small? Think of some. Anybody who's stuck here? Because I'm going to drop a bomb on you now, right? So what actions are you not taking towards this goal? And my next question is going to be asked with love, right? It's not an opportunity for you to beat yourself up. It's an opportunity to get insight. So How are you justifying not taking this action? How are you justifying it? Just think about it. If you want to lose weight and you're not losing weight and you're not taking any actions towards it, how are you justifying it? Could it be that you say to yourself, oh, I've tried everything, I just can't lose weight. I've tried everything. That's a justification. If you can't find love and you're not doing anything that might bring in some love in your life, you could be saying, oh, all the good ones I've taken. Yeah, I didn't get on the wagon when I was 19, so now it's too late. That is justifying. Not doing anything towards getting a new position could be, oh, I haven't got the necessary skills. Nobody would want to hire me. Justifying inaction. That is what we can use here. Number 6. So when you think about taking this action that you're not taking, what thoughts present themselves to you? And I'm talking about the thoughts. If you can't think the thought, if you don't know what thought is behind it, don't worry, we'll be diving into the feeling and maybe you can grab hold of a feeling just next. But a thought could be, I'm not taking this action because it's bound to go wrong. I'm not joining a dating agency because it's bound to go wrong. Or I might regret it. I might do the wrong thing. Right? So we're not going to dive into these thoughts right now. We could, of course, take them apart. But what is really much more interesting for what we're going to do now is to feel the feeling that is generated by that thought. How does it make you feel? Joining a dating agency, how do you feel? Scared, nervous, excited? I don't know. If you were feeling excited, I think you might already have joined one. So my guess is that it's a negative feeling. It's a feeling you don't want to be feeling, so you might be avoiding it. What is the feeling? It stresses me out. Having a look and reviewing my CV and starting to apply for positions, it's just stressing me out. Going to job interviews, I feel nervous. Right? What is the thought and what is the feeling? So maybe if you can access a feeling now, maybe you can feel that, or you can think the thought behind it. But if you can't grab hold of the thought, it doesn't really matter for now. Right? If we were in a coaching session, we would, of course, take it apart. But let's just stay with the feeling. Let's grab hold of a feeling. Have you all got one? Have you got a feeling? Going to use it now. Where in your body are you feeling or sensing it? This emotion, this feeling. Often it's in our chest, like we feel that's a weight on our chest, on our shoulders. It could be tightening of the throat. I feel a lot of my feelings in the belly. Like when I feel fear, it's in my belly, I can feel it. Like in my stomach, I can really feel it there. So can you try and locate where it is you are feeling the feeling? Yeah, stomach. All right. Thank you for that. Isn't it funny that we feel so many feelings in our stomach, and we could also call our stomach our second brain? So if that is something that intrigues you, go back to the book I recommended, because it's just fascinating how we generate feeling, right? So identify where in your body you are sensing it and stay with it. Let's create some safety, because you're feeling an uncomfortable feeling. You are in discomfort. So put your hand, for instance, on your heart or on the body part in question where you're feeling that feeling, and just breathe deeply. Just breathe into it. Just breathe into it. And just feel this emotion sort of wash into you, just invade you. Let's just stay with that emotion. See how long you can maintain it. If you're feeling, bitter, how long can you be feeling bitter here? How long is it possible for you to be feeling the bitterness here? And you can just breathe into it, like breathe deeply. In through your nose, you can breathe out through your mouth if you want to. Whatever feels good to you. Just know that you're sitting wherever you're sitting, standing wherever you're standing, and everything is safe. Otherwise, you wouldn't be listening, would you? Everything around you is safe. You're just feeling. There's an emotion washing through you. If you can be with this emotion for long enough for it to leave you, not by you distracting through eating something or drinking something, not getting up, I'm not trying to avoid it, just being with it, feeling it. I remember having these panic attacks once. I put on a one-woman show, it was a big deal. It's a lot of money involved. And I was lying in bed at night where I was staying. It wasn't at home. And I was feeling these electrical shocks starting in my stomach and going through my whole body. But I think that was panic. I was just feeling it. And I remember feeling it, lying there, feeling it. Not trying to persuade myself not to feel it, not trying to argue with it, just having it be there. Right? Breathe deeply and be with it. So you're already feeling the emotion you're trying to avoid. You're already feeling it. This is the worst it will get. If this is the worst it will get, you no longer have anything to fear because you're already doing it. It's already happening. This is what you're running away from. This is what you're trying to avoid. How bad is that? So we add on unnecessary suffering by believing that a feeling will destroy us. Right? When I was feeling my panic attacks, I thought, wow, I'm going to blow up at some point, But I just stayed with it. Not just one night, not just 2 nights, just several nights. Just having like electricity sort of blow up my whole body, right? I survived it, right? We will survive our emotions. So there's nothing to get worked up about. Just feel them. Just really feel them. This is the worst it will ever get. So think about wanting to date to find love. Before taking the action you're not taking, which could be going on a date, you might be thinking, oh, this would be so embarrassing. If you could just allow yourself to feel the embarrassment. Just think of a situation and then just feel the feeling of being so embarrassed. I think it's happened to all of us. We've been so embarrassed. We didn't know where to hide. Like it was just excruciatingly embarrassing. Can you remember that? Just feel that embarrassment. And it can sort of almost pump the air out of you, can't it? So once you know you can feel that feeling and be safe, well, what can happen to you? What can happen? You've already felt the feeling. Do you see what I mean? So I said earlier that you can have, maybe we just need to leave this exercise actually. Maybe I'm rushing you a little bit here. That was not my intention, but you get the full benefit of this by feeling all your feelings. And just knowing that this is the worst it will get. It can't get any worse than feeling this. And this is what you're running away from. This is what you're trying to avoid. So I talked earlier about the breakfast, wanting to lose weight, not having the donut, but choosing to have the boiled egg, right? That could be a small change. Many small changes can lead to a big change, right? If you don't just stop at the donut, or if you keep not eating the donut long enough and just having a boiled egg, then you will lose weight over time. If you take even more action, well, you'll get your results faster, won't you? So maybe you're somebody who wants to take it little by little, step by step, which is so important to respect. Maybe you're like me, you just want a big change, like when I emigrated from Denmark to London when I was very young. I just went to London, and that was hugely frightening. And I remember feeling the fear, and I got so used to feeling the fear. I knew that this was so scary. I felt the fear. I really felt it. So doing it wasn't half as bad as feeling all that fear. Actually, traveling to London, finding a job, finding a place to live, all of that, that wasn't as uncomfortable as feeling the fear. Isn't that fun? I mean, isn't that thought-provoking? But if you can imagine, like, leaving everything behind that I knew and becoming somebody different, because everything around me was different, I was forced into massive change. Do you see what I mean? I had to even change how I spoke, because I used to speak Danish and now I had to speak English. So that was like huge change. But I was able to do it because I wanted what was on the other side. Do you see what I mean? I did it again when I moved to Paris, and that was hugely uncomfortable too, right? But it was so worth it. I don't regret having done any of it today. Do you see what I mean? So the more uncomfortable you get, the more determined you'll be to find a solution. When you don't allow yourself to get uncomfortable, you overeat, you overdrink, you overspend, you overwork, you numb out, we call it. All that because there's a feeling you don't want to feel. And when I say one feeling, there might be several, depending on how long you've been avoiding it. So think about all the energy you put into avoiding feeling it by over drinking, overspending, whatever it is you overdo. Whereas you could just be allowing yourself to feel the feeling in safe circumstances. So when you get hugely uncomfortable, you will be determined to find a solution. And an example of this would be if you're a smoker. So, you know, smoking can cause lung cancer, but you keep smoking all your life till the day where you get lung cancer. And then your doctor tells you really must stop smoking. And then all of a sudden, you manage to stop smoking, right? Because you are so uncomfortable that you have to find a solution. But we don't actually have to get massively uncomfortable before we can get to the solution. We don't have to go through the overeating and overspending and all of that. We can just use our emotional guidance system and be guided by it. So that's how I have come to associate fear with something exciting. So when I feel the fear, I think, oh, I'm onto something. I'm onto something huge. If I'm feeling fear around this, it means that the transformation, the change here is potentially huge. I'm fearing it, so let me just do it so that I can get to the other side. Right? And I'm not talking about putting my life in danger or anything like that. It's just that, wow, I know that if I'm feeling fear, then there must be something in it for me. I know that on the other side of the fear, of feeling that discomfort, of sitting in the fear, really feeling it, then I know on the other side, there will be something that I've been looking for, that I want to experience. So a little coaching here. I recommend that before you take any action, you change how you think and feel. Because my example is, like I put an example here, that you don't want to get married without feeling the love first. You want to be feeling the love and then get married, right? So there's a feeling first and you take action from the feeling. You don't put the action first and then take whatever feeling is left over. So you don't want to take action from a feeling of fear or resentment or anger or upsetness or whatever, right? That's not, well, just imagine, again, I'm going to take the dating example. Imagine you want to go on a date and you force yourself to go on that date because, oh, that's how you're going to find love. But you force yourself to go on a date and you think, oh, it's going to be so embarrassing. Oh, I don't feel that I look good, blah, blah, blah. So you're going to show up as that person who doesn't look good and who feels embarrassed, right? Who's not confident in who she is. So that's how you're going to show up in the action. Whereas if you coach yourself and you get into a place where you start accepting that, okay, it could be embarrassing, but it could also be life-changing. It could be fun. It could be so many things. So what you do is you find a thought that you're willing to think. A thought that you're willing and able to think. So about dating, if you can't think, I'm going to absolutely enthrall this person and he's or she's going to fall madly in love with them and we will live together forever. If that's an unbelievable thought, there's no point in thinking it. So you might just as well think the thought that when I show up at my best, I actually feel good about myself. So let me just put on clothes that I feel comfortable in, that I feel I look good in, and go to the date from there. Right? So you work on your thoughts that will have you feel, that will change your feelings. So that you go to the action bit, this, in my example, going to the date, from a place where you feel, if not beautiful, then you feel, I look my best. Actually, I look acceptable, or whatever it is you can feel. Of course, if you feel that you look beautiful, well, then that's just great. But we want to get to the most inspiring thought so that we can get the best feeling out. You see what I mean? If you go to the date thinking, this is not going to work out, you might not even bother to dress up. You might not bother to wash your hair or whatever it is you do to look good. You might not bother, right? And then you will show up. My point here is that however you feel is going to influence how you behave, your action, right? So we have a thought, we have a feeling, and that will have us behave in a certain way. So what we do in coaching is that we make sure that the thoughts and feelings behind your action is going to get you the best result. So there's no point in going on the date if you're not feeling good about it. Sitting around at home feeling miserable is not going to improve that, right? Feel the discomfort of trying to think something new. Do you see what I mean? Are you with me here? So, if you have a coach, he or she will first have you change your thoughts and feelings before taking any action, and that is so important. A coach rarely tells you what to do. This is your job. Unless, of course, the coach is teaching you a special process, as I did today, or there's some specific information that you need to have. What a coach does is take away the confusion that you think you're having. And that confusion keeps you in inaction. That's when you're coming up with all the justifications why you're not taking the action. And that confusion tells you, I don't know. I really don't know what I need to do. I don't know that I have to join an agency. I don't know that I have to go on a date. I don't know how to meet people. I don't know how to dress up. I don't know how to have interesting conversation. I don't know how to be fun. All of that, you know, we can take away that confusion because we all know, we know deep down. So it's about taking away all the layers of confusion that our minds spin on us and really getting to what we do know deep down. And a coach will always take you back to your best self and have you make your decisions from there. Your best self is not the frightened part of you. Your best self is a joyful, confident, happy person, right? That's your best self. So that was about coaching. And of course, you can coach yourself, but you can also create the change without the drama if you want to get to what you want without procrastination, doubt, and guilt. If you want to learn to redirect your thoughts, that's what we've been talking about. We haven't actually done a lot of it, but if you want to learn how to transform your thoughts so that they can fuel your action, so that you take action from a good feeling thought. If you want to feel good more often than you feel bad, or if you want to stop being overwhelmed and to learn from your failures, because let's take my dating example again. If you want to go on a date, there's no guarantee that it will work out, is there? There's no guarantee. And in life, there are no guarantees. So we've got to be willing to take in the failure, feel the embarrassment, feel the fear, whatever it is, feel the discomfort, so that we can get right to the other side. If you want to start being who you really are, unapologetically and uncompromisingly, if you want to feel valuable enough to prioritize, or if you want to give your life a sense of direction, please book a consultation. So a consultation will allow you to determine if coaching is right for you. Is it the tool you need right now to create the change you want? Right? If you book a consultation with me, I will take you through my process and I will tell you what I think your problem is, and then I will give you a solution, my solution. And you're of course free to take me up on it or not. And I will suggest, if I can help, that I do help, and that will be through coaching one-on-one with you. If you want to take me up on that, you're free to. If you don't, then you're just as free to do so too. Okay, so in a consultation, it's not a coaching session, it's to show you just what is possible, right? What would be possible if you felt your emotions deeply, you were no longer held back by them, you were able to create new thoughts and new feelings so that your action would no longer be coming from that place where you are fearful, where you're just trying things out just to try things out, where you're sort of forcing yourself to do something, right? That's not, I mean, first of all, that's not even enjoyable. Secondly, you might not get the results you want, right? So your power is in the moment, right here, right now, as I'm always saying. Waiting won't solve your problem. Suffering some more won't bring solutions. Coaching will. Change needn't be scary. It can be fun, exhilarating, mind expanding and empowering. It can be joyful and completely safe, right? Change needn't be dangerous. You can actually enjoy it. So if you want to take me up on my offer here of a consultation, let me just show you how you do that. And if you're still here and you've got any questions, I would really love to answer them. So you can either unmute yourself or you can post in the chat. So if you go to the link I'm displaying here, let me just put it in the chat too. Because I've really tried to get as many availabilities as possible, but I haven't got that many because I'll be traveling. So you can go ahead and click that link. Then you will arrive on this page and you just choose a date, right? And then book a time. And I think I put the link in the chat. So please feel free to go here. The book, Caroline, good question. Let me just give you all the references. Got it right here. So she's called Lisa Feldman Barrett, and the book is called How Emotions Are Made. And I'm going to put it in the chat if you want to go ahead and copy that. So that's just one book on emotions, but I like its sort of scientific approach. And also, if we are prone to get really caught up in our emotions, then it's so useful for us to think, I believe, that emotions are chemical reactions in our bodies. So I'll be really happy to hang out with you here. If you've got any questions, anything that came up for you, any specific question or problem you've got, I'm very happy to help you out here. Sorry, I was fiddling around with the technology here. So you're welcome, Caroline. Yeah, so Caroline said that we try to, she says she does, but we all do, try to squash our emotions down. And I often talk about water hose to water your garden. Imagine you've got a water hose, water's coming out of it. You can water your plants with it, you can water your garden. If you kink it, you stop the water from coming out. But it doesn't make the water go away, right? The water is still in the hose, in the garden hose, and the pressure is building up. The pressure is building, 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 building. That's what happens to us and our emotions. We build up the emotion, and if we want to unkink our emotion hose, it also just splats out and it can feel completely disempowering. We can feel like it's uncontrollable, but it's just because we've been stuffing them down. Well, you're welcome, Heather. I enjoyed talking to you. You're more than welcome. So we all stuff down our emotions more or less, right? I'm sure we all can remember times where there was an inappropriate emotion that we didn't want to be sharing, that we didn't want to be showing. So we just stifled it, didn't we? So it's important to get all those emotions out, just let them in and let them out. We can't always do that in the moment. Like, imagine you have a child and or he or she is acting up. You can't just blow your top, can you? You may have to just filter the emotion a little bit and then go and react somewhere else. Okay. Also, I was thinking this afternoon about massive change, and maybe we've got some mothers here. If you're a mother, just think, that was a massive change, wasn't it? When you got pregnant, you signed up for some massive change, right? You were obliged to go through with it and have the child on the other end, right? Massive potential discomfort for massive change, right? I mean, that is something mind-blowing. So we've all got the capacity for change, really. We can talk ourselves into making it sound dangerous, but then lots of people have children, don't they? And they don't necessarily know what they're in for. Then we might not be having them. Lady Pippa, thank you. Oh, my pleasure. Okay. Great. Yeah, Wendy. Oh. I take that as a compliment, Wendy. She says, I remind her of Meg Ryan because of my accent. Wow. So Wanda's got a question. How do I align my emotions with my thinking? I'm heartbroken and sad after a breakup. I know I was treated badly and cheated on, but can't get over the jealousy and sadness. Right, so what would happen, Wanda, if you became really present with your sadness? What if you felt it, really felt it? So in the replay, what if you did the whole exercise again with that sadness? Maybe you can define the sadness. You say jealousy. What's behind that? What is the thought behind your sadness? Do you know? What is the thought behind your jealousy? And let me just give you some examples. I'm not saying this is you. Please understand. I'm just giving examples from jealousy. Like if you were cheated on, and I'm saying you, I don't mean you, Wanda, because I don't know your circumstances, but if you were cheated on and you're feeling jealous, you could be feeling rejection. You could be feeling somebody preferred somebody else over me. That must mean I'm not good enough. So your jealousy could be the feeling that comes to you from not feeling good enough. Maybe there's betrayal, you know, there could be so many feelings. All these feelings we need to unravel. We need to get our hands on them and really feel them, really feel them. And the way we can change them is to change our thoughts. So you ask, how do I align my emotions with your thinking? My answer is you would want to change your thinking. So instead of making, in my example, which might not be your case, instead of making your jealousy mean that you were not good enough, maybe you could start thinking, the person who cheated on me didn't see my real value. The person who cheated on me didn't see me for who I am. Had they really seen me, they wouldn't have cheated on me. Right? And if you're very courageous, if you're really courageous, then you could be saying, I wonder why I didn't feel empowered to show up as myself, all of myself. So you can start changing your thoughts, and that will change your emotion. So every time you say, I can't get over, you're just digging that hole a little bit deeper. I can't get over. You can change the story, says Wendy. Yeah, you can change the story, but when you change the story, let's have it be something believable. And I think that is sometimes where we go wrong, because we want to sugarcoat it. We want to make the story something completely different that we can't believe, and that doesn't serve us. Right. You're welcome, Wanda. You are. So Gail is asking, do you think that part of changing the story means not caring about what other people think? That could be it, but let's not guess too much. And Wendy asked, can I explain live? Yeah, so Wendy, we don't want to coach on anything here that we don't know anything about, but you're welcome to talk live. Of course, you can unmute yourself, no problem here, but please don't go into any coaching, because we really, really, really haven't got enough information here. Okay.
Hey, it's me. You can see my wet hair. I fell in the pool to get my phone.
Oh, it's looking good. Is your hair?
Yeah, it's just dried naturally now.
Wow.
Okay, I have a lot of, okay, just really quickly. I was trying to avoid somebody that I play mahjong with, you know, when you get with groups, and I didn't want to play with her and nobody wants to play with her. And I thought, you know, I'm not going to be like that. So I sat at her table, I played with her and start living that day, right? I forget the past, forget how they treated me. And then when I left, she was real nice and she said goodbye. And I thought, I'm leaving. Oh, and I had a stomach. You know how when you get anxious, your stomach hurts, like you were talking about. So that's the past trauma, how she treated me. As I was leaving. And I started thinking, I went home thinking, no, today was a good experience. I'm going to change his story, you know, and I'm not going to bring the fear that how she treated me before today. So I'm just going to treat her with love and change how she felt to you understand where I'm going with this?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
I understand perfectly. And if I can just put that into coaching language, which is, I mean, thank you for sharing this. You said you could just change the story. You were able to change the story and you were able to take action, right? But you were going through some discomfort because for a moment you were thinking, she was a horrible person. She treated me badly. Let me just get uncomfortable. Let me go into discomfort. Let me make the first move. And maybe you were thinking thoughts like, oh, when she treated me in an unkind manner, maybe she was feeling sad. Maybe she was upset. And that is what made her act in that way. Maybe something happened to her that made her behave in this way. Maybe I should just overlook that. What would it look like? If I overlooked her former behavior to me, I would go and engage with her. But you did, right? So now you've created new evidence. You've created evidence instead of saying, oh, I was treated badly. You went through the discomfort, you thought a new thought, and now you can have a new feeling like, I can be happy with people who once treated me unkindly. Like that is transformative.
Well, I think a lot of it is that past trauma is in your unconscious. And when you're going through something, you know, that fight and fear thing, and it's coming back up saying, it's reminding you of this. And I have the same problem. It's a different one with my sister-in-law. So I'm going to try this same thing I did with this lady with my sister-in-law. But anyway, I just thought that would maybe go in with kind of what you've been talking about.
It exactly does, Wendy. And thank you for sharing it. And if you can transfer that onto the rest of your life, well, then you'll never have problems with people again, will you? Because you're able to go beyond it. She was not nice to you. Oh, you said, okay, I'm not making that mean anything. I'm not making that mean something about the future. So I'm not taking what happened in the past into my future. I'm going to start anew. I'm just going to allow her the possibility of being kind instead of unkind. Right? But I think what you maybe not seeing is that you were also open to failure here, because maybe she would have been just as horrible to you the second time, third time, fourth time, right? So you were willing to take risks, but risks is really a whole other story. Yeah, one they're saying very helpful, and I would agree completely. It's a beautiful story, really, isn't it? And it just shows that you can change the story. Also, when you're two people, if one person changes, then the other must change too, right? Because it's a little bit like a balance, like a scale or scales. So if one part changes, the other must too. And it's very, very difficult to be horrible to a person who's being extremely kind, isn't it? Yeah. So Gail is saying sometimes, especially if they're narcissists, it is better not to be kind and to disengage. Yes, I completely agree with you, Gail. Disengage, yeah. Get yourself out of there. But you can't change other people. but you can give them a chance. You can give them a chance to be different. That is also helpful. Thank you. Wendy says, are times to not be in the relationships. Yeah. Especially with the wrong person, right? So again, when I talked about discomfort, I didn't mean that it was an invitation to stay in unhealthy relationships or in disrespectful situations, in situations, circumstances where you're suffering, right? That is never acceptable. Accepting the unacceptable is always unacceptable, right? I was talking about the emotions that you choose to feel. Right. Well, thank you for all this. I love talking to you. Have you got any questions about any of it? If so, I would love to be of service. Okay, well, I'm going to stop then the recording and we'll try to have it out as soon as possible. So if you're watching on the replay, thank you very much for having listened in. Let me know if I can help you in any way, and hopefully see you soon some other time.